Welcome to the show. We are glad that you are joining Lolita's Corner on tonight. Hop on. We have the hot topic of Let's Talk Marriage. We started a conversation on last week and had to end. We're not going to end early like that tonight. We want to delve in and sort of talk about marriage. Welcome. What's up, Mr. Waddy? How are you?
The Cleveland, how are you? I'm well. How are you?
That's good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. The weather in Chicago is a bit nippy. It's expected, I'm sure, this time of year.
Yeah, the weather sucks.
Why is you talking about? What you
Because when
mean?
you really think about it, right? Think about it. This is the best city in the United States. Why I say
It
that?
is because it has all the seasons.
Well, no, all the seasons suck. Not all the seasons,
Oh no.
but winters. But this is why we have a beach. We have the best food. We have the best sky. One of the most diverse cities when it comes to communities, right? You can go to LA, they just got a beach. They have no skyline, no downtown. You can go to Miami, same thing. You can go to New York, diverse, decent sky, only known for its pizza. But when
No
you think about
beach.
no beach, but when you think about Chicago, Chicago got a beach, food, diversity, best skyline in the world probably, and then you have winter.
Some people love the winter. They like fur coats and warm coats. They say that's the cuddling season.
I can stand for 40 and better. But when you start getting below 40, cold, snow, sleet, I can do 40. I can do 30. But none past that. No.
Yeah, I could do cold. I
So
don't want to do the snow. The snow is ridiculous. I just be over it,
yeah,
but I don't even want to think about it. So how you been? How was your week since we last seen you?
my week was great. I mean, we seen each other
That's
Fridays.
good.
So,
I mean, yeah, I
party.
seen you Friday, and I was like, oh, okay. Mr. Whitey diversified in his dress attire. He know how to get
Yeah,
sharp. We
yeah,
didn't even
yeah.
get a
Week was
picture
great.
together. We was sharp too. We was cute.
We did not. We did not. That sucks. But yeah, my week
It
was
sucks.
great. I'm still planning for November 19th. So for those of you,
No,
November 19th, man, the purpose great give back. We are servicing
I
the
love that. The Men
family
of Purpose, great give back.
great
That's what I'm
give
talking
back,
about.
yeah. So we're servicing the families at 130th corridor, meaning all the developments of 130th, 500 food boxes, um, 150 boots, haircuts for the young boys, some turkey giveaways, and just got word that Snipes is down, so they're gonna come out with some gift cards for the youth, and possibly not locked in, but hopefully some coming through Puma. So we'll see how that work out. But yeah, the great give
Oh, well,
back.
I better be there. That's November when?
19th, Saturday, November 19th.
Saturday, November 19th. Oh, wow. What time will it be?
Great. 12 to 3.
12 to 3.
12 to
Okay, I'm
3.
going to try to be there. That's the
Oh yeah.
19th. Let me check my calendar. I
Yeah.
normally don't
Please
miss
do.
no events. I don't know. I might have to miss. That's going into my birthday month. I be, what I'm talking about, ready
What you
for.
talking
I'm
about,
taking
Willie?
all gifts. Huh? I'm taking
So when
all
I put
gifts.
this up, y'all know we talking about Mary. So what you talking about, Willie?
So listen, we ended the show last week, and you made a comment. Just one. I
I
got
did.
some heat too. I had some people come back like, "What's up? What's going on?" and all that good stuff, right? So we were talking about you can't marriage for love. You can't marry for love, or not. You didn't say those words. I'm talking about in general. We
Right.
talked about marriage and it not necessarily having to be for love. We
Correct.
talked about prearranged marriages,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that our Indian friend can join us to sort of talk about that. But I wanted us to talk about that a bit because um, yeah, right. So when you mentioned not marrying for love, the first thing came to mind for me was definitely prearranged marriages, right? And right now, prearranged marriages have one of the highest domestic violence rates. Oh, I done did a little homework for you tonight. But I want you to talk about what you were sort of recap us real quick of what your point was about not marrying for love.
Well, I was just, you know,
Say it.
I don't. This is not necessarily my stance,
Okay.
right? But I was speaking on how marriage is also a business, and a lot of times we don't look at it from the business standpoint. We look at it from a romanticized standpoint, and a lot of people marry strictly for the romance, right? Well, how we got on the prearranged part was, the root of it, from what I understand, is, here's my daughter, here's my son. Your family has some form of a benefit that can be to my family and create or leave back some legacy. So I'm willing to exchange my daughter for your son for that mule and that land, right? So prearranged and it's beneficial. Then I spoke about just the points on how it is business. Business is a contract or an agreement that's exchanged by some sort of monetary funds and goods, right? And I look at the license to marry as your agreement. Your vows are your agreement, right? You
Okay.
exchange that with a judge for the finances. Boom. Same way coming up out of it to divorce. You have to negotiate to get up out of this thing and exchange money to get up out of it. So what is that technically? So that's business to me. So that's what I was saying. But as far as the love part, you have people who marry solely for, at times there's no romance to it. Men and women have both married for whatever they felt that other partner was for whatever that benefit was, right? So people don't always marry for love. They marry for the benefit. They're looking for the long haul of how can this person benefit me. Women have stayed in marriages and sacrifice their love and happiness for their children because they understood the benefits that came with possibly the husband long term and the legacy of their children, a better life for their children, and vice versa as men. Men have married women for such reasons as well. So that's what I was saying. It's not necessarily meaning that it's my stance. Not saying that I don't believe that love shouldn't be a part of the equation, but that's where the statement came from.
Okay, okay, I feel you. So, I think about two of my friends. They were married. They were prearranged marriages. They didn't have the mule, but they definitely had to be
They didn't
prearranged with
have
the
to move.
family that could keep them within their economic status quo.
Facts.
Those families
I
was
would.
not allowing their child or their daughter to be married to someone um, who did not have the same economic status quo. They had to um, be able to financially care and keep the particular lifestyle that they were particularly ready for. Somebody say, as I've gotten wiser in age, yes, I do believe it can be a business, there also has to be some kind of love.
I mean, that's fair. We're gonna hear a lot of different things. I'm not here to knock
Oh
not,
no, no,
not
no.
nobody else.
We don't knock nobody on this
Um,
show.
but ask yourself, right? As a parent, out because love. Let's be truthful here, right? Love isn't enough. It's just not.
Okay.
You can love me. You can love me. But if the components of this marriage isn't working, love just ain't enough. So
Oh,
why wouldn't I, as a father, outside of the romance, want my daughter to be in the best financial economical position with the man that I am turning her over to. Why wouldn't I want that?
Yeah, you do. You don't want her to have to be able to call back home and you not able to care and provide for her.
Which a lot of times we get blinded by the romance. And we all know someone or two who has married. They have not done the proper research on their partner, don't know credit score, don't know their financial situation, vice versa, right? And at the end of the day, here it is. Love ain't enough. Once that romance part start running out, and I'm not saying it should, but once it does, because of the other effects in these areas start showing up and weighing more, you're gonna be like, what have I done?
Right. That's true. Somebody
What
said
have
that they believe safety and financial status is important. It's probably more important than I actually love today's world. We gonna have a couple of people join us tonight. Do you know this Donald Broomfield?
I do?
Oh, let's get it popping. We gonna bring in a pastor, and then you let Mr. Broomfield know we gonna add him to the show on this evening. Welcome to the show, Pastor Diane. How are you?
I'm blessed. How about yourself?
We good. We've been dialoguing. I don't know if you've been able to follow along. We started a conversation on last week about love, and me and Mr. Waddy dialogued with our viewers about um, love, and Mr. Waddy's thoughts. It wasn't his particular view. He said was that marriage is a business. What's your thought about that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. A business is when two, more, three, five, 50, 100 people can come in business and draw up a contract. And as long as it's addressing their selfish needs and whatever their needs are in that business, to be a part of that business and whatever will be beneficial to them. Marriage is a covenant and it's totally different. Covenant goes beyond that. Uh, what I feel it's not the it won't run away when the first time something happened, but it tends to uh, fulfill the promise that was made. We stand before God and we make a promise in that covenant to death do us part through sickness and health. So it's not about what we selfishly want in the marriage or what two people want. It's about what the covenant is about, what the promise is about when we come together. And that's not how God originally intended to be a contract. It shouldn't be something that could be broken. So that's that contract that we get. You know, when people be so excited when they go down and get the marriage license and they're like, what love got to do with it? It's a contract because we got this marital agreement where the state comes in and can dictate to us how marriage goes. But when God does it, it's a contract that it can't be broken. Love is affectionate. Uh, it's ongoing, pouring into meeting the needs and the desires of one, to encourage, to just be there. To it's like a big field of agriculture where we're cultivating, we're building, we're pouring into, we're strengthening, and we're making what can become a business, what can become a ministry out of what we build together.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Whitey. We was talking about also prearranged marriages, and we were saying how in some cultures they prearrange their marriages, and when they prearrange those marriages, uh, those families that have a daughter, they only give their daughter away to someone that could care for them and have that economic status. So some people believe it's a business because they prearrangement. It's no love. You know, when I think about prearrangement, I think about even Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. He wasn't trying to do that prearranged. He wanted something. He was like, listen, his dad thought he was going to sow his royal oats. But Eddie was on something else on his quest, to be able to do that. And nothing against anybody's culture. Whatever their culture is their culture. So we're definitely not knocking anybody culture tonight. Let me make that clear. But I do know in some cultures you don't get to date a daughter unless you of a certain stature. So, Mr. Waddy, I know we were saying before Pastor Diane joined us about you as a father, you wouldn't want your daughter to marry a bum. I mean, that's me summing it up, but you could go ahead and finish where you were right there. I said a bum.
I'm not saying a bum, but I mean, why would any mother want their son or vice versa to marry someone who does not have the financial stability? That just doesn't make sense. Like, that's the purpose of my child leaving, right? And even though a lot of us leave early, but that's the purpose of me turning my daughter over. Why would I turn my daughter over to someone that can't physically, mentally, emotionally, financially take care of it? That don't make sense to me. So, that's all I was saying. I mean,
I feel you. I feel you. I think too in our current society that many people have marriage misunderstood.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think it is definitely a misunderstanding about marriage. I don't think that is just love. Sometimes I think people just get married to say that they're particularly
married.
married.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm married. I got a boo. I got my husband, and then soon as the heat bill is $135, they fighting. I think that it can also. I'm not gonna say it can't be avoided, but I think there's some things you need to do and consider before you even get married in your single
Absolutely.
world. I always say you need to collect data. I know Pastor Naya,
Absolutely.
we agree on that about collecting data. Do you
Absolutely.
collect data, Mr. Waddy?
Yeah, we talked about that a couple. Yeah,
Couple of shows
data is
where you
good.
collect some
Yeah,
data.
yeah, data good. I mean, I think you need to know history, background of the person you're thinking about spending the rest of your life with. And so that data part was on the conversation about asking the right questions during the dating and courting process. And so that's what, yeah, I believe in data. Data is good. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I believe in the data.
Mr. Broomfield, we gonna let Donald come in. He said that he believes safety and financial status is important. It's probably more important than I actually love today's world.
That's
He too
interesting.
much. He too much. He need him to be a certain type of way. What were you about to say, Pastor? I know we had got to going and got started.
I believe in marriage, what we lack today is training and teaching. And we depend too much on our children to get to a particular age to start seeking and looking for a certain thing when the Bible tells us to train them up. And so often we go into relationships apart from God, trying to find love, trying to find marriage. So we're looking for all the wrong things. God always have provided for us whenever we sought God and seeking Him and being in His presence. We're going to make sure we're financially fit. God is going to make sure that your mental status is where it's supposed to be. The most important thing in any relationship is your heart posture, because God is going to pour everything else you need. He provides that for you. But your heart posture is very important because that can block your financial status. So, do we teach our children how to love beyond condition? Do we teach our children what to look for in a man? First of all, teach your children how to become that their self. You don't want your daughter out looking for anybody to purchase her a car, buy her a house, buy her a new Prada purse or any Gucci. She should be able to buy her own. And when she present that in itself, your persona says to most people in your surroundings that I can't have her. And they know what they have to do to have her. And even when those that are slick, because she's been trained, she can discern that which is of God and that's not of God. That's going to be a fit for her. Most women, 15 minutes into a conversation, you could say, this ain't going to work because we know we've been trained. So I would say that we lack is training and then in our upbringing, mostly in the home. Some people wait, they get in relationships outside of God. Nobody's perfect. We make mistakes. We get hurt. We get wounded. But I would say, you know, get in the Word of God. If you're not a born again believer, I can't promise you that you'll have a great relationship or you'll ever experience love beyond that which of the world. But to experience that love that is supernatural and beyond anything you can think of, imagine, you're going to have to experience and encounter that in God, and you're going to have to let God lead you to that love.
Now you said something a little powerful. You said in the first 15 minutes she know. Mr. Waddy, do men know? Do they know that quick? Uh-oh.
In the first 15 minutes, do I
I
know?
know what she mean.
Um, yes and no.
Okay.
To some degree. To some degree, you can tell, like, you can feel it, like, mm-mm. To some degree, yeah. I don't know if it's the first 15, but I she's going with that. Yes. In some of them conversations, you just like, no, after this date is over. It's not, we are not moving past this one. Stop at go. Or what is it?
Mhm.
Stop at red. No, we're not moving past this. So
Mhm.
yeah, I agree. I just
And
don't
we
know if I
see
can
it, and most of us see it, and we ignore it because it's there. We see it, we hear it. Our ears are trained for that. We hear it.
I do agree. Now I agree with that. I agree with that outside of even just the relationship piece. You know, I heard her say discernment. And I think a lot of times we all come with discernment in our life. It's just a matter of whether we know and understand what that is, right? And so you got to deal with the consequences, good or bad, you know, whether you're obedient or disobedient. And so I think that's what you're saying. Like we know when we hear it or when we feel it, you know, we just choose to disobey. And so you got to deal with what comes with it. I agree
Mhm.
with that.
Mhm.
Well, oh
Absolutely,
no. Wait,
absolutely. Because
go ahead, Pastor Diane. I was trying to have Mr. Donald join us.
yes, I know. I say that because Mr. Waddy. A lot of times we've. I'm saying that I've experienced. I've been in my marriage for 24 years, and I've had a marriage before that, and I dated 9 years in between those two marriages. And when you come to understand that there are a lot of things that are, nobody wants to marry a broke man. That's just absurd because a man is a provider. He should be able to provide for his home. But we should know that I don't just want his money. I don't just want a gift set. I don't just want this agreement where it's a contract where once the money runs out or when the gifts runs out or when it's not going my way anymore, then I don't want you anymore. That's contract, and it can have 5 and 10 people. Now we might as well marry as many as we can marry. But when you're marrying into covenant, it goes beyond that because now we're building, we're tearing apart one another, and we're becoming one, and then we able to build that legacy, whatever our dreams are. We're building those things together. So when I'm sitting now talking to a person because of my training in the Word of God, I become skillful because I'm listening. I'm asking hard questions because I want to know in the beginning. I'm not dating you for love. I'm dating you just to get data now. And data lets me know whether we can move forward. I'm not saying every woman is like that, but every woman should be like that. And we should be starting to train our women like that.
I think you should train women and men like that. I mean, but we had a conversation about how I thought about young men and young women should be raised and trained under the same foundation. So, if you
Yeah,
can
we talked
recall,
about that because
I,
yeah.
I was saying I believe the reason we have so many unsuccessful relationships is because I taught to go this way. Our young men are taught to go this way, and then when they meet and in their 20s and late 20s, early 30s, we're looking at two different things. But if we were both taught to look at the same foundation, the same understanding without it being double standards, I think we'll have a better chance of having successful marriages and relationships.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Broomfield. How are you?
How you doing? I'm over here having this terrible Wi-Fi connection half the time.
Is that what it
I'm
is?
trying to listen.
That's because they don't want to hear what you gotta say. You gotta come on with it now. You know I'm talking about the Wi-Fi player hating.
Oh, it's super tough, and but I was taking in all the beautiful information that you guys have been sharing, and my statement was saying, um, I'm not saying that on a financial standpoint, but I think that we live in a generation that has moved away from foundation, like a true foundation of what we're marrying for, why I married this person. The generation now where status is valued more. So if I can, me and this, like we just said, the arranged relationships, like it's almost like people rather pass that could be the soulmate, that would treat them right, that would love them correct, that they can grow with. They'd rather jump over that person for the person that has the status. You know, the guy with the flashy car. She'll jump around the guy that will do her right, or he might pass up the right woman for the flashy Instagram girl, for the smart and more so able to provide what the home needs. That's being a mother, being a nurturer, helping him grow as a man. And some ask that. And also in a place where I think, and it's just me learning myself, I think that we're in a generation where a lot of us are recovering for, so we wouldn't know how to love from the first place.
Yeah, right
Because
there.
we're living in so much trauma and hurt that people will run away from true love. They will run away from love because they have, so that they can learn how to love and learn how to be loved. So the material is the substitute in the place, because I don't know how to be loved. At least I'm in a big house. At least I'm in a nice gram or Facebook. We look happy versus if they're actually truly happy. And I think that's what I was stating by the financial part, or the material part has become more real, and get past so many childhood traumas and growing up, and it's certain things that's rendering us from actually loving. And once we do the healing, I think we'll understand what love better.
That's good. That's you that came on here and wrecked the show. Let me find out you're gonna join the next relationship chat. But that was something very powerful, because sometimes we do skip over the impact that trauma has. And I like the wording he used when he mentioned that they substitute, or we substitute, or some people substitute the fancy cars and all of those different things in place of some of their traumas. What's your thought on that comment, Mr. Waddy?
I just a lot of us have, and a lot of our people do substitute. The truth is, we don't understand emotional healing. We understand physical healing, but when you ask a person, how do you heal emotionally? Most of us are stuck. A lot of these terms that we are starting to hear are fairly new terms to older folks, and we talked about that on one show, right?
Right.
We have a lot of people that can diagnose now based on all these buzz terms, but the truth is, when you ask most people, how do you heal emotionally? What do you do after trauma? Most people can't tell, and the truth is, a lot of us have been raised in survival and not love, and we think survival is love.
That's true. They too. You rocking your head back there, Pastor. What you about to say?
No, I was
Somebody say
just,
it. Somebody say a marriage won't last without emotional intelligence. That's our
Um,
I
chat.
I
completely.
mean,
That's I
look,
think that's a big part of it. I think emotional intelligence is very. I'm just young. I'm younger, and I'm still learning myself. I'm still growing as a man, but I also know that through my marriage, she will change. You can learn how to get past these points in life. The stubborn states, the places where we might not be on the same page. So through healing, I am now able to raise mine and not see it, take things so personal. We can grow past certain states. So without emotional maturity, yeah, you're destined for failure. You have to have emotional maturity to get past certain common ground. You're able to find your faith. You're able to grow to a common place of faith and religion and things that match, that help you guys grow together and keep the faith in the relationship. Healing. I didn't know. I literally learned from therapy why I date the way I dated, why I treated women how I treated them as a young girl on the inside. And then I didn't understand why me and my wife been together 10 years now, but we used to argue, not because we would want to fight, but she's a strong female, strong. But it wasn't me, it was how she grew up. I had to learn certain things about her, and through that emotional journey, through her healing, through my healing, now, we're in such a on it. We know what this is, and we know what this journey looks like to healing together. And if you don't heal together, then you're going to go separate roads. You're going to separate. You're going to walk away. Healing place so that the financials is not the substitute. Because people, like you said, will stay for survival. People will stay because it's more, I don't want to let go of this lifestyle. I don't want to start over. It's comfortable instead of actually feeling love.
Yeah, that comfortability gets you in trouble. Somebody say also, if two people aren't suitable for each other's proposed purpose, not compatible but suitable for each other's purpose. Yeah, that.
No, I mean, when they say something that's real, you gotta let it sink in. The suitability is important. I mean, if you look at celebrity status of couples, some just know it makes sense. We date because it might work for the blog. We date because it might make us more money. We're together because you're a lawyer. I'm a doctor. It just look good. And those I think are more toxic in the end. I think those are more toxic because they weren't built on a foundation. They weren't built on anything.
Part. You need some type of foundation. Some type of foundation is required. I see you, Pastor Diane. Go ahead.
I'm enjoying everything that you all are saying, and it's amazing to me because we have to really pay attention to our life, and it's like you said, it's so profound that you said that, because the emotional scars, the scars build up, that tissue is hard, it's hard to break through that. So you're bringing all this baggage into a relationship, and that person's bringing their baggage into a relationship, and there's no medium to help us get through all this, or decipher through what's right, what's wrong, how we really should be treating each other. So what we're doing is, because like you said, your wife, I come from a place where all women were in my family, a lot of pride. So pride can misconstrue things, have things all twisted up in a relationship where I feel like you're always attacking me. I feel like you think you know more than me. So these things happen, and it happens simply because we go after the things that we want in our life that God has set up for us, and we going after them on our own, apart from God. And He said, "There's a way unto man that seemeth right, but the end of that way is destruction." And like you said, it's toxic, because who gonna release the toxicity if we both toxic? You hurt, I'm hurt. I've been abandoned by my mother. I was rejected by my father. My father treated me like nothing. So when I come into a relationship, this is what I think is right. Even if I mentally know it's not right, my soul, my heart posture cannot receive it right now, because I want to be right. I want to be on top. I want this to be where it works, but it's going to be my way. And we deal with so much of that because we go after the things we want on our own, apart from God. And so we're so self-righteous. We write out all these things that we think marriage should look like. Then when we come into the relationship, it's not working, because nobody wants to be in a relationship where I'm dominated. It doesn't matter whether you're a man, whether you're making the money. I'm a woman. I'm here to nurture you. I'm here to pour into you. I'm here to help build you, strength you, stroke your ego. If I can't do that because you keep striking me down, it's difficult, because I'm not your father. I'm not your mother. I'm not the one that hurt you. But it's hard to understand that when you don't know how to relate with your inner pain. You can't do it when you're in pain and then you're in a relationship that's adding fuel to your fire.
Mm.
You can't do it. So we sometimes we want to marry into these relationships where it's money, but it's so much pain, it's so much suicide, it's so much death in those things, it's so much destruction. And this is the stuff that we're living before our children, and we expect them to do better. Someplace we're gonna have to come to a decision in our hearts to where men are gonna be men. The Bible says that man should love his wife like Christ loved the church. That should be a man's focus in his marriage, not just her, but loving her like Christ loved the church. Christ died for the church. He died for the church. And a woman should submit herself to one husband, give herself over to him and live before him and help him. If he bring $1 in that house, she should be able to make it $200. She should always be a woman that's building her home. And we got to get back to this and get back to training our women. And like Mr. Waddy said, training the men, training them. Let the Bible be our medium and not what we think a marriage should look like, because what worked for you may not work for me, but what God has laid out work for us all. So we got to get back to that. We got to get our purpose back to that, and that purpose and pouring into other people and allowing them to see something that is healthy, not just something that works for you, because that can only take you so far. What is it supposed to really look like? When when God was in the garden, he brought Adam and Eve before Adam. He went on to say in that passage of scripture, Genesis, he said a man is to leave his mother, his father, and cleave to his wife.
Cleave his wife. Yeah.
That's the most important woman in his life. If he's esteeming anybody high, it should be her. And there's a lot of things that we don't do in relationships because we don't know. We forget a lot of even small things like thank you, I love you. Love is an action word. It's a force. And when you use love, love covers anything that can be wrong, anything that can be short. Love covers that because love drives us to do what's best and to do our next.
You know, you said something very powerful, and though it might have been overlooked or small, you said even when you say thank you in your marriage, I think sometimes people forget. We talked about love languages in one show. That's been a few shows back, but we talked about love languages and knowing what your mate's love language is, because
Absolutely.
sometimes thank you is their love language. Other times, thank you is that diamond bracelet, gifts of love, is
Mhm.
always good too. But sometimes people don't even know in a marriage how to even love their mate.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Hmm.
and I think it's up to that mate because again, being I've been in this marriage for 24 years. My husband don't have to guess. I tell him how to love me. I tell him what I need. I'm very boisterous. A lot of
Uh-oh.
times
Oh, Mr.
I
Waddy say
speak
you own to something right there. What you
so
what you about to say? That finger went to
No, I like that. You hear a lot of people today saying I'm too old to be teaching. I'm too old to be telling.
wow.
But I know that as humans, we're forever evolving
Mhm.
physically, mentally, emotionally. Who I was 2 years ago when you first married me, I might not be that same man emotionally.
Absolutely,
My
absolutely.
needs, my needs and desires change. And so if I am not telling you that my needs and desires have changed, you know how to meet my needs. And I hear
Absolutely.
that often, man. I'm not teaching and telling nobody how to like. Why wouldn't you?
Mhm.
Why I don't get the statement. Why wouldn't you? Like,
and it's a very appropriate for marriage. Now I ain't talking about out here with your boo, your bae, your side piece neither. We
That's
talking
right.
about marriage tonight. And I need to
well,
kind of
I
make
mean,
that clear. I need to
Absolutely.
make that clear because it's gonna be some women that hear this and we talking about marriage.
well,
And you're gonna be trying to be a wife when you is the girlfriend, a dip and a
that's
boo.
that's fair, but I think we also need to know how we want to be dated. Well,
I
Mhm.
agree.
Mhm.
we need to know
I
how we want to
agree.
be dated. Um,
Mhm.
everyone's definition of dating, boundaries, all that looks different, sounds different, looks different, and
True.
it's different in real time. You know, so yeah, even though we're talking about marriage, I think the way I date young lady A, young lady B might not want to be dated the same way. So I think we
True.
have to be able to communicate and understand that at all times. Um,
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I like that. Tell my husband how I want to be loved because that looks
Absolutely.
different on Friday than it did on Monday.
Hmm. Hmm. And
Right?
That's
absolutely. Now this is covenant. Now remember, this is covenant. When you we don't some of us come into we think we know the whole covenant, so we like I got this is what I'm going to do, and we put on these physical acts, and then some of us put on these financial acts instead of putting on this place before God, learning what is covenant. When I come into a covenant agreement, what does covenant look like, and how should I respond to covenant? Because sometimes we want to respond to the man instead of responding to the position that God has given the man. He's given man a position. He's commanded man, not ask him. He commands him to love your wife as Christ loved the church. Now, do I understand that? Because I need to be able to relate to that. So when I'm looking for something from my husband, I'm not settling for anything because I know what he's been commanded to give me. So that provokes me to fall into my promise or my part of the covenant. I'm going to meet my part of the covenant. So I'm going to be fulfilling. I'm going to be doing what I'm supposed to do. And that doesn't necessarily mean cooking, at home cleaning. I could be a businesswoman. God called me to ministry just like he called my husband to ministry. But I still submit to my husband and I understand what it is to respect him and to treat him like the priest of my house and then go on as the woman that God has called me to be because I'm honoring the place. Even if something go wrong, I never forget my part of the covenant. It doesn't give me a right to start doing anything different than what God has told me because maybe he cheated on me. So do I go out and cheat on him? No. Covenant is totally different from contract, and we have to understand that I continue on in what I'm doing, regardless of what, because I'm in covenant with him, and this covenant is made before God. So when I go to God to correct my marriage, I can get that response from God because I'm operating in covenant and I'm respecting the position that God has given him as the priest of my house. So I don't have to end up in divorce court. I can end up in heaven's court and getting it corrected.
That's good. We have a couple of comments. We have someone said that two people also has to know that love is a decision, not an emotion. They say they've been married 25 years and they had to learn that.
Man,
Absolutely. That's good.
I told that to a couple in July, and a wife argued me hard on this. And I believe that you wake up daily choosing to love your mate. It's not an expectation. It's not that I have to do. It's something that I choose to do. Like I have to wake up daily and choose to love you, choose to do right by you. So that's interesting to hear somebody say that because I believe that personally.
Okay, our next comment is emotional stability comes from one's understanding of the value of covenant. That
Yeah.
that would be my brother's comment.
Hey,
He been married 30, 40, 50 years.
you understand the assignment.
He understands the assignment. Come on, brother Reverend Deacon Field. He understands the assignment.
Absolutely.
Um, this is a really good show, and I really don't want to wrap it up, but that means we need to come back. We may need to invite Phil on the show to be with Waddy next time. Had that male testosterone going on. As we begin to wrap up the show, what is something we're gonna lean on you right here, Pastor Diane, as we wrap up? What is something that you would share with singles desiring marriage, and what would you say to encourage people that are in a marriage?
Amen. I would say to singles, men, I would say to stay focused, work on you, work on your position, work on what you have, what you bring into the marriage, because it is your place. Again, I say Christ loved commanded man to love woman as he loved his wife the way he loved the church. So I would say work on your stability, work on your focus, work on your consistency and the things that you're doing to be a provider for your home and to disconnect yourself from the foolishness of this world when God calls you to that assignment of marriage. I would say to any woman, stay at the feet of Jesus, praying. God said when a man finds himself a wife, so if God is making you a wife, he's getting ready to put you before your Adam or get ready to put you before your Boaz, whichever one you choose. As long as it's in God, you're going to be okay. And I would say to married couples, Work on you, stay focused and being together. Allow God to take whatever it is, whatever circumstances you're facing in your life, to make you stronger, to make you better, and to cause you to see beyond the pain and see the promise that God has given you in marriage.
Oh, that's good. That left us a little quiet. Guess she told the people. Go ahead, Mr. Whitey. What you want to say to the people as we wrap up tonight?
What do you say when prayer doesn't work?
And see, you starting something.
I mean, praying
But
couples
prayer work.
divorce.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, praying couples divorce. You know, what do you say to the couples that just like praying isn't working at this moment? Because there are people who pray. There are praying couples that just be like, we're done. We don't
Phil
win.
said something. Phil said something earlier in his comments. You read out his comments, and he said, "Love is a decision, just like divorce and separation is a decision. When you make a decision to do anything in your heart, you're going to see it through. But if you've already decided it's not going to work, no matter how hard one person tried, somewhere somebody is not believing, somebody is not agreeing with what we're trying to do, and they're not wholeheartedly into that, because prayer always works. Prayer is always going to be an answer. God promises that. So somebody's not in agreement, or somebody just don't believe that this can really work. So I would say to them, keep praying. And I will also say this: every marriage is not going to work. Every marriage shouldn't have been together anyway. Some marriages should be dissolved. I mean, it'd be more healthier if they were dissolved. So I would say, if you have to end up in that place, don't be discouraged. Continue to look to Jesus, because life is not over. You can still be happy.
We gotta come back on this.
You gotta come back.
Like,
He didn't pull to me tonight.
Well, I mean, because I have a lot of questions, and that was just one of them, But when we talk about
what's your question?
when you talk about the covenant, right? We have individuals who really into the religion in the church like that, right? And things are working for them. How do we speak to those individuals who are not moving on the understanding of a covenant in marriage and a relationship?
Well, I would say, if it don't fit, don't force it.
Well, I'm not saying that it doesn't fit. It's just, everyone isn't moving on a spiritual level when it comes to these relationships nowadays, right? And so it's not necessarily that it doesn't. How do you discern or detect whether or not this is it, when the spirituality or God isn't the leading force of this relationship? Because there's a lot of people dating like that.
Problem
that
right
don't
there.
Okay. Well,
And you have to be led. You have to be led by your emotions now. You're led by your feelings, because you're on your own now. So you just have to be led by that, and whatever comes, you have to be. You have to count up the cost and say, "Am I willing to go through this? Am I willing to be with a person that's still dealing with childhood hurt and pain, and constantly bringing that upon me? Am I willing to deal with all the emotional distress that's going to come with this relationship? Am I willing to change my ways?" Some things we can't do. I always tell couples, when I minister to couples, we talk about forgiveness and communication. It's difficult to do it, because it's almost humanly impossible for us to forgive. So apart from God, it really can't happen. So how do you continue on in that relationship after somebody has cheated on you? That's got to be something that's up to you. You got to count up the cost, and you got to know what comes with that, when you don't have the promise of God to remove that, to help you get past that, to heal your heart from that, and to pour in you the new strength that you need to move forward. So if you're not going to receive the spiritual component, then you got to deal with what comes with that natural force.
Somebody say, if prayer doesn't work, you need to fix that natural and go to therapy and learn emotional intelligence. What you laugh for, Waddy?
No, I'm taking it all in. I'm actually putting out questions.
That was that laugh.
No, I'm taking it all in, and I'm processing it, because I can keep going, but
we know you're a thinker.
I know we gotta wrap up.
We know you're a thinker. You
Mr.
gonna
White,
pull a me?
it's just like wanting to be a billionaire, and you want to be a billionaire, and you just decide, apart from the company that's on the whoever's going to pour into this business or this institute, apart from them, I'm going to do it. And you need that source, that component. So you don't want the people, but you want the resources that they have. So it's kind of
Mhm.
difficult for somebody to pour that much into you and you not receive them. But if you open up the door, receive them and the resources, then wealth come. So it's your choice. Either you're going to work on your own to get it, or you'll receive the resources that will make life much easier for you if you open up and let them in. So it's up to you. God's not going to force you to take him, but he's also not going to pour him into you if you don't want him. If you choose to do things on your own and you're intelligent enough to do things on your own, then you're going to get the best. It's going to take you as far as your knowledge can take you. That's where your life will take you, apart from
Yeah,
God.
that was a question that I seen earlier this week. What happened when prayer doesn't work in relationships? So I appreciate that answer.
That's good. Somebody said, I don't know what part they were on, but they was like, that's being unequally yoked. They don't see success in a relationship like that if they unequally yoked. Oh man, now that thing got deep. So listen, Mr. Waddy, it look like we coming back now. This life, love, and relationships is taking on, y'all. And listen, it's going somewhere. We might have to invite you back, Pastor Diane, because you add a little fire. And I like the fact you're a little laid back pastor too. You ain't on here eat by time and laying hands up on the screen. We so glad. She stirred though. I'm willing to bet when we stop this live and be behind this stage for a few minutes. But listen, y'all, thank you so much for supporting Lolita's Corner. We have 2 episodes left as we wrap up the season for the 22 year. Thank you for your support. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing. Listen, send me some topics. I have some people. I'm resourceful. We bring in the topics. Mr. Waddy, I think we need to take this marriage and relationship. I really want to say we need to come back next week and sort of finish it, especially that unequally yoked. And that's going to give me time to slide on my brother's phone and see if he can join the call. Do you understand me? He needs to get on the call. I think he got some male insight because Mr. Whitey be by himself, and I just be chilling, I just take it all in. But listen, thank you guys for joining us. It's been grand. Whitey, you know how we rock. You my brother, I'm your sister to the end. We rolling. Pastor Diane, thank you so much for giving us time tonight to come on because she don't do it for everybody. Woo, she sure don't. Listen, we glad you enjoyed the show. Take some notes, share the link. People that's married, people that's single, let them know we talking life, love, and relationship. Low and Waddy, we at it again. Have a good night. Be careful, be safe. We'll see you next week.